I'd like to welcome you all to the CPP Education Team's live webinar, Start Your Students Out Strong, an introduction to the new iStartStrong report. My name is Leah Walling, and I'm the Director of Marketing Communications here at CPP. I'll be moderating today's webinar, and we'll be introducing our featured speaker, Judith Grutter, in just a moment. Today's webinar provides an in-depth walkthrough of the iStartStrong report, including report features, how the report differs from other strong reports, and some exciting new opportunities for interactivity. So you'll learn how the report can help you make the most of limited time with students and put them on a path to self-discovery. So we have more than 200 people logged in for the webinar today, which is great. There's lots of new attendees, so I'd like to do a quick walkthrough of the webinar format so everyone's familiar with the logistics. So today's webinar will run for approximately 1 hour, and the last 15 minutes of which we'll reserve for a Q&A session. During the presentation, as you think of questions, please go ahead and submit them to me using the question function in the webinar controls or send me a chat message. There are also 2 representatives from the CPP education team in attendance. That's Jim Larkin and Jack Powers, and they're going to be available to answer questions as well at the end. So Judy will be introducing them a little later on. So as with all our webinars, today's will be recorded, and we'll be sending out a link to the recording in just a couple of days. So now I'd like to introduce our speaker. I'm very excited to welcome the author of the new iStartStrong, Judith Grutter, GS Principal and Trainer. Judy has been a career development program consultant and trainer for more than 35 years, as well as a national certified counselor and NCDA master career counselor. She is a recognized authority on the uses of assessments and career counseling and is co-author of the Strong Interest Inventory Interpretive Report, as well as a number of additional publications and reports on the Strong Interest Inventory and Myers-Briggs tools. Judy is also the author of the GS MBTI Certification Program for Career Counselors and Educators and is co-author of the GS Strong Interest Inventory Certification Program. So please join me in welcoming Judy, and now I'd like to turn over the webinar to her. Welcome, Judy.
Thank you, Leah. I really appreciate it.
Great.
It's always exciting when a new strong interest inventory product comes out, and I'm very excited about this one. Admittedly, I had a lot to do with it. It's been something that I've been thinking about doing for a long time, and I was more than thrilled when CPP said, we need this, let's go ahead. Even though the Strong product is new, the family isn't. The Strong has actually been around since 1928, which is a long, long time. But this product is a new report. It's accessed through Skills 1. It's self-service. It serves as a starting point for career exploration. It's designed to reach more students than we've been able to reach with a full Strong. It can stand by itself or lead to a full Strong profile, and it links directly to expanded career and educational information. Respondents take the full Strong Interest Inventory to get this report, so it carries the reliability and validity that all Strong results do. We've just taken all of the data that you're used to seeing on Strong profiles and made it very easy to understand for students and clients. Like all products in the Strong family, this report is based on the framework of John Holland's RIASEC theory of vocational psychology. This is the framework that's used in almost all career development settings. The framework says that there's 6 basic categories of personality and 6 corresponding categories of work environments. Most people and work environments are a combination of categories. The RIASEC personality categories link to career fields, college majors, and training programs. What we try to do with any Strong report is to get the best fit possible between personality and educational or career choice. I'm going to just run through the categories very quickly. Most of you are probably familiar with them, but there are always a few for whom this is new information. And here are the categories arranged around the RIASEC hexagon. And I'm going to summarize them very briefly. Starting up in the upper left corner with R, which stands for realistic. Realistic people are hands-on and physical. Realistic work environments are also hands-on and physical, often involving large equipment or the outdoors. Investigative people are mental and analytical, and likewise, investigative work environments are often scientific and research-oriented. Artistic people are creative and sensitive. Artistic work environments encourage independence and self-expression. Social people are helpful and friendly. Social work environments are cooperative and collaborative. Enterprising people are verbal and persuasive, and enterprising work environments are fast-paced and businesslike. Conventional people are organized and detail-oriented. Conventional work environments involve gathering and organizing information. Most personalities and work environments are made up of two primary letters. The purpose of the Strong assessment is to generate a RIASEC personality code for respondents that can be associated with career fields, specific occupations, and education and training programs. The full Strong profile does this by first rank ordering respondents' like answers to items in 6 broad themes and 30 related basic interests, and then comparing respondents' answers to workers in 122 representative occupations. 5 scales are added on the full Strong report to elaborate on personal style, and then there are 3 for the practitioner's use that are called administrative indexes. The integration of these scales isn't self-explanatory, and in many work settings and with many students and clients, this amount of depth isn't necessary. The new iStartStrong report elaborates on just the themes and the basic interests, generating a simplified 2-letter RIASEC code. If you, the practitioner, feel that more information is required to address the respondent's career issues, or if the respondent wants it, you just produce an expanded report and proceed with the full profile. Let's take a look at a sample client's report, and then we'll address any questions that you might have. The new iStartStrong report emphasizes the visual. Experienced Strong users probably noticed when we started that the cover page for this report is much more visual than for other Strong reports. The entire report is designed for visual appeal, easy access to more information, and interactivity. It begins with a brief introduction and description of what the general occupational themes and basic interests are. We're calling them general themes and specific interests in this report to be more conversational. You'll see that we've reframed all references to technical terms, words like scales, standard scores, etc. This particular report, excuse me for a minute while I clear my throat.
Judy, I just wanted to check in. We've lost some audio with you.
I'm sorry, I think I should probably start with the beginning of this slide.
Yeah, start with the beginning of this slide. I think we just lost audio for a moment.
Thank you. I'm
Perfect.
sorry. It's
That's okay.
clearing the throat and muting and unmuting. This particular report is for a college sophomore. I've called her Sally. She's beginning to think about majors and has been wavering back and forth between journalism and teaching. The report begins with a description of her top 2 themes and how they fit together to describe work environments. Respondents' top 2 themes will always be presented. Standard scores and very little, moderate, high, very high categories have been eliminated, so we don't have the possibility of flat, undifferentiated, and elevated profiles. It's going to be up to the practitioner to decide if that information is needed, and a full report would be generated. Next comes a description of people with these themes. So respondents are getting a picture of how people and work environments fit together. If respondents are viewing their reports online, each theme links immediately to more information. This is what the social theme links to. I'll let you look at that for a minute. And this is what the artistic theme links to. So you're getting a fairly general description of the people in each one of these theme categories and how they relate to work environments. Now the other 4 themes are listed in the respondents' order, also with links, so they can get more information even for themes that they don't like as much. The Learn More is a hyperlink that just goes directly to more information. Now after the theme, the top 5 specific interests are listed. Here are Sally's. You recognize these as the basic interest scales. Each specific interest begins with a description and typical work tasks and then links to more information about areas of study, career fields, related occupations, and activities that may or may not be career related. And we're going to look at those links. Each specific interest links to a full page like this, starting with the description and work tasks that you've seen before. And we'll take each section of this one at a time. Anything that is blue is a hot link and takes you directly to more information. We're going to start with teaching and education and areas of study. This is the first thing on that full page that we just looked at. 6 areas of study are listed for each specific interest. These are just examples of college majors. So this teaching and education, areas of study might be child development, cultural studies, educational administration, etc. All of them related in some way to teaching and education. 6 career fields and 6 sample occupations are listed for each specific interest. Each occupation links directly to ONET and the Occupational Information Network developed by the Employment and Training Administration of the United States Department of Labor. You'll see in a minute that these 6 occupations are here essentially to serve as a gateway to hundreds more occupations. There's no limit to the information that you can get with this report as a start. If you're thinking of questions at this point, as we're going through this, think about sending them in because Leah's collecting them so we can talk about them when we're finished. I'm going to show you the link to ONET, which is the primary source of occupational information in the United States. And this happens to be the ONET link for one of Sally's top occupations, elementary school teacher. If you're not familiar with ONET, information for each occupation includes tasks. They're listed first in any occupational summary, followed by knowledge required for the field. And this is a good page to link to college classes that people might be taking if they're interested in this field. Skills required to do the job. Now keep in mind this is the ONET site, so we've linked directly from the elementary school teacher job title to the government site. Skills required to do the job. Abilities. So we have knowledge, skills, and abilities. They're referred to usually in career development as KSAs. And then typical work activities are listed. The benefit of this is that we have all this information, but it doesn't hit the respondent in the face when they first load the report. What they're seeing is a very simplified framework, which is the iStartStrong, that links to all of this when they want it. If they don't want it, they don't go there. The RIASEC classification of the job is described, along with typical work styles. And then work values, related occupations, and wages and employment trends are included. Each one of the related occupations and each one of the related occupations links to more occupations, which link to more occupations, which link to more occupations. So we start with 6 on the iStartStrong report, then we go to these 6 related to each one of the 6, and then each one of these links to more and more and more. So eventually you cover pretty much the whole labor market. Now in ONET, each occupation also links to state-by-state projections, so you can even get state salary information and projections of employment. And even videos. If you click on this video on ONET, it plays and it shows a typical elementary school teacher actually doing the job. So we've gone from iStartStrong to ONET to the state site to the videos. I thought I'd just recap where we've come so far with specific interests. On the report itself, we have 6 occupations listed for each of 30 specific occupations. Each links to 6 occupations with information about work tasks, knowledge, skills, abilities, everything that we've looked at, and a whole lot more that there isn't even room for on the slide. The emphasis here is on making career information comprehensive and easily accessible from one standardized inventory, the Strong, while at the same time not overwhelming respondents with data. That's not even all. For each of the specific interests, we also include information about activities that respondents can literally try out to see if they're really interested in the occupations. So these aren't specifically job titles or work tasks, more things that they can do while they're considering occupations. I'm going to go back to the initial link for each of the specific interests, reminding us of what the initial page looked like that led to all of this information. So for each specific interest, we have a description and work tasks. We have areas of study, career fields, occupations that link to all that information that we just saw on ONET, and activities to experience the interest areas before respondents actually make a commitment. Now, all of Sally's top 5 specific interests are described the same way that the one we just looked at was. These are her next 3. And then her remaining 25 are rank ordered for her to click on if she's interested in finding out more. So the report doesn't include information about these, but all of them are hot links that go to more information, just like we've seen. For instance, although it wasn't one of her top 5, law is at the top of the remaining 20. And if she clicks on it, the law page comes up, and we go right through again the areas of study, the career fields, the occupations, and the activities. And this information comes up again. All of these occupations link to ONET, just as the elementary school teacher occupation listed. At the end of the report, there's a brief summary page. This presents the top 2 themes, the top 5 basic interests, and then it links to other online resources. And these, the Occupational Outlook, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and ONET are the 3 most frequently accessed websites and reference works for any occupations. And you can see again we've got some blue links here, and they link directly to these other resources. So if you click on Occupational Outlook Handbook, it goes directly to the 2010-2011 edition, and you can search through the OOH for just about anything. They also link directly to the Bureau of Labor Statistics website, where they can look up various areas of study connected to their interests and see all kinds of majors and interest areas and training programs that are related to each interest area. The report also provides a direct link to the ONET REASSEC page, which gives you the overview of the 6 REASSEC categories. I mentioned in the beginning that what this report does is focus on the top interest areas for respondents compared to people in general. What you don't have are the standard scores, the graphs, the technical information that in some work settings can be overwhelming for respondents. But practitioners know when they're working with students that they very often, especially younger students, and this happens with adults in transition as well, they'll see a report like this and they'll say, well, I like all of these areas, or I really don't like any of these areas, or there aren't any occupations here that interest me. And those are the kinds of comments that as practitioners we listen for to see if perhaps a profile might be flat, it might be depressed, it might be elevated. The themes might not be differentiated enough for a respondent to take this report and actually begin exploration towards a decision. Those are the cases when the practitioner is going to want more information and want to generate a full report. These are the theme scores. Remember we said that Sally had social and artistic themes as her highest themes, and that's what it said on her iStartStrong report. The actual strong profile shows you that compared to women in general, her interest in social, helping occupations is considered very high, and you have the standard score there of 68. That's a very high standard score. It's actually right in the low 90th percentile range. And artistic is high. And on her iStartStrong report, the third theme of enterprising isn't really addressed. And that's really the way RIASEC is working now. Holland pretty much dropped the third theme letter when he did the last pass on his theoretical publications. On the strong, unlike on the self-directed search and some other assessments, the theme codes are not interchangeable. They're listed in the order of the respondents' likes, so taking them in the order is fairly important. And that third letter isn't brought in, again, unless the respondent wants to bring it in. On the full strong report, most of you are familiar with this. You also get scores, and very high, high, moderate, all the way down to very little categories. For the basic interest scales, which is what they're called on the strong, on the iStartStrong they're called specific interests. This is where the reports are quite different. On the strong profile, you get 122 occupational scales with scores that indicate the degree of similarity of the respondent to actual workers in the occupations themselves. On the iStartStrong, it's only based on likes. So rather than being compared to workers, the occupational lists are generated from what you say you like. So if you say you like helping others, the occupations that are going to be generated are occupations that are related to helping others. And so it's much more consistent with something with the full strong profile. When you have the themes that are based on likes and the occupational scales that are based on similarity, it takes some professional training to integrate those scales to get the most information for the respondent and the highest level of benefits. Now, the strong profile also includes personal style scales. Personal style scales can be very helpful in unlocking flat profiles. These are not included on the iStartStrong. I think many of you might want to actually sample this report, and CPP has provided a site where you can go and take a full strong. Remember, you take the full strong. It's scored on Skills 1, and this particular website of cpp.com, try iStartStrong, will take you to a site where you can do that and then send you the report directly. GS Consultants also has a blog, a WordPress blog, where we talk about challenging interpretation issues. And I actually have some posts that I'm going to do this week where we're comparing full strong profiles with iStartStrong profiles and when to use which and how to make the choice. And that's going to be an ongoing discussion as we all learn the many different ways that this report can be used. To be certified in the Strong family of products, there are a couple of ways that you can get the training that you need. We do offer continuous online certification training on the Strong through GS Consultants, and that's gsconsultants.net. And we have a live program coming up in Lake Tahoe in June. It's a 4-day program right on the lake. And we have a code here. You might want to write this down if you're interested in the live program, CPP11, CPP11, which will get you a special rate for the Lake Tahoe program. Many of you know the CPP Educational Account Representatives. I want to introduce them again. Jim. Jim is in charge of, Jack is in charge of new accounts. Many of you probably, Jim, are you saying hello?
We are here, yes.
Okay. Jack, you want to say hello?
Hello, everybody.
So I think what's going to happen is Leah's been collecting any questions that have come in, and we're going to split them up here. I think Jim and Jack, I'm going to ask you to take care of questions that are related specifically to product and scoring, and then I'll come in with any questions that have to do with the report itself, how it was developed, interpretation, things like that.
Great.
Perfect.
Leah, have questions come in?
Judy, we've got a plethora of
Good.
questions.
That's what we wanted. Let's get people thinking.
Yeah, so there's lots of really good questions here.
Good.
So one of the first questions to come in is that people are observing that this is an online report, that people interact with it in an online way. So there's been a number of questions around, is there the availability of a print version, or if the student or person wanted access to information in a print version, is that available?
Well, yes, you will print the information. The basic report is printable, no question. In fact, what we've been looking at are actual clips from the PDF of the print version. What you don't get with the print version, of course, are the hyperlinks that take you directly to the CPP website that has all of the REASEC and the specific interest information, and you don't get the hyperlinks to the ONET websites and Occupational Outlook Handbook, etc. You get the basic information. Your highest interests are, your highest themes are, your highest specific interests are, with the brief task descriptions. You get the basic information, just not the full information.
Perfect. So so that was those questions came in from a number of different people. So Paige has a question. She wants to understand, what do you mean by the fact that the report is fully self-service? Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, that means that you, as the practitioner, can give the student the link to take it. The student will take it and can download the report right away. So it doesn't require interpretation on the part of the professional. It's self-understandable.
Let me jump in here and just say, within your administrative site of Skills One, you do have the option of making the report immediately available or not. So if you would like the student to be able to see the results, it's just a matter of checking a box in your administrative site. If you want to hold the report and make it available to them when they come to see you, that is also an option.
Thank you, Jim. That had slipped my mind. Of course, that's such an important point, because part of using the Strong is working with your student or respondent and kind of deciding what kind of assistance they need and how they're best going to digest information. And you know from talking to people whether they will be able to get immediate access to this report and just run with it. Especially helpful in group settings where you want some basic information in front of them right away. Or as a practitioner, you can pick up whether you want to be the one to interpret it and then perhaps generate the full report if you go to that level. So that's a really good option that we have.
Excellent. So Dennis had a comment and a question. He thinks the report looks terrific. So he understands that it can be used with students in an academic setting. However, he's interested, is it appropriate for use with adults in, say, a career transition setting as well? I'm
going to answer this from two perspectives. People change careers for many different reasons and with various levels of complexity. And the more complex the issue is, the more information you need to address it. And if the person is working with you just to explore career options that are related to their interests and they pretty much know who they are, I think this report can be very valuable. The most important thing is that they can take the questionnaire, they can take the full strong, and right away have immediate results that get them off and running before they come back and meet with you and discuss further. Now, other adults, there's so many issues that go on with people once they've been in the workforce a while, and if their jobs have been eliminated or it's their own choice to change, you kind of have to probe and see what's going on behind the choice and behind the transition, and this is certainly important in the economy as it is today. We never know when we first meet an adult whether they've been working in a field that was a good fit to begin with, and now they're just looking for a lateral transition, or the career field is gone, has been eliminated, and they have to transfer their skills. Or if they were working in a career field at the beginning of their careers that wasn't a good fit. They made the choice based on things other than their interests. And when that's the case, it's more complicated because they've got a 30 or 40-year history behind them if they're in their 30s or 40s, and you have to deal with that history. And I think in those cases, the full strong is going to provide a little bit more information. There's an interesting thing about the occupational scales on the full strong, the similarity to workers. That whole section of the strong. In fact, I'm going to bring that up again. Just hold on just a second. I'm going to try and bring that up again. Leah, I'm making a fool of myself. There it is.
No,
this page on the full strong profile. Remember, this is not the occupational listing that you get on iStartStrong. For adults, the coding of these occupations that comes from similarity to workers is a critical piece. And very often adults will identify first with the theme codes of the occupations, these codes. Adults will very often identify with these before they'll identify with the themes that are presented back at the beginning of the report. And if you sense that's going on, if the adult is really confused about what their code is or hasn't been in a field that has been particularly rewarding, I think then you want to use the full report.
Okay, so we've had some questions sort of related to that. Can you maybe give us a range of what's the recommended or appropriate age range for use? And there's a number of them that how young might be appropriate.
Well, like the strong itself, it was designed for 8th grade and higher. And what I've been experiencing in the 20 years that I've been using, that I've been writing reports for the strong, is that especially in group settings in schools and colleges, when strong reports are passed out, the college profile or the standard profile or the interpretive report, it's just overwhelming to the students. And so I think for high school age, for middle school, high school, and college age, it's a slam dunk. For the beginning discussion of career exploration and deciding on majors, etc., I think this is the place to start. When you get older, career counseling is different for a 40-year-old than it is for a 20-year-old or an 18-year-old. And although this report, I think, is engaging, especially for people who like to do research online, this report takes you to all that research, and it's easy. You don't have to take a code and put in a URL and then put in another URL and skip from place to place. It's just all linked so comfortably that the adult who really just wants to find out about opportunities and options, it's all there. For the adult who's looking more at who am I and what have I been doing for the first 20 years of my life, this report isn't going to answer those questions.
Okay. So there's some questions on how the professional would use the report. So in particular, how would the professional interpret this report, and might it be used to replace, say, an interpretive report? What's the recommendation?
Well, remember, this report only includes the general occupational themes from the full report and the basic interest scales from the full report. So you're only being compared with people in general. So the way that you would interpret it is compared to women in general or men in general, your highest interests seem to be in these areas. Let's explore them. If you're using the interpretive report, you take that information and then you have to integrate. You want to integrate, and in addition, you demonstrated some similarity to typical workers in these occupations. Or isn't it interesting that although you've indicated that you like the arts and your interests are in artistic fields, you don't seem to have much similarity to artistic workers. So there are the two different options. One is these appear to be your interests, and here's the exploration path. That's iStartStrong, versus the full report, interpretive or profile, plus whatever resources you're using, or here are your interests, and you're also similar to workers in the occupations or not.
Okay.
See, that second piece just doesn't come up on this report. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes this one self-service, if you will, is that anyone can pick it up and understand it. Whereas with a full report, if you pick up themes and basic interest scales and occupations that are not consistent with each other, that takes trained interpretation.
Okay. So this question is probably for Jim or Jack. There's some interest in the cost. So what does the iStartStrong report cost? And then also, if you process a second report after viewing iStartStrong, so one of the strong interest inventory reports, is there an additional charge?
So I will address those questions. This is Jack. The cost of the iStartStrong, it is like most of our reports, it's a tiered pricing structure. So purchasing anywhere from 1 to 99 reports, the cost is $9.95 for each report. For between 100 and 499, the cost is $9.20. And for 500 and above, the cost is $8.45. And I think that there was the second part of the question regarding generating a second report off of it.
Right.
Yes. In order to generate an additional report, there would be an additional charge, depending upon which report you did generate. So yes, it is an additional cost.
It works pretty much like the profile to interpretive report structure that we currently have, is that if you generate a profile, it's one price. If you add the interpretive report, you pay for that as a separate product.
That's exactly the case. Thank you, Judy.
Excellent. Thanks, Jack.
Does that answer the question?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, several of them. Okay. So, Judy, I think this is a question for you. Luis is interested in what certification requirements are there for administering this assessment?
You don't have to be certified to administer it because it doesn't require interpretation. It's self-interpretable. But you do have to be licensed on Skills 1 to administer it because that's the only way it's accessible. There's a fairly general understanding that if you're using RIASEC instruments in the Strong family of products, certification is a good idea. I think even if you're only going to use this report, which doesn't have the complexity of all of the scales, you really have to be able to understand the relationship of the themes to each other, the relationship of the themes to the specific interests. To be able to answer questions like, I came up with themes that are social and artistic, but my specific interests are realistic and investigative. Those are questions that training helps you to answer. Or what about the person whose themes are social and realistic? Their two highest themes are opposite each other, and what do you do with that information? All this report does is give you the facts. You indicated realistic interest, you indicated social interest. These are what this is what those interests suggest. But you, the professional, can see right away those are opposite interests. And if you're trained, if you're certified, then you know how to deal with things like that. But the report itself does not require certification to interpret. You can literally hand it to the respondent.
Okay. So
did I hear silence, Leah?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions, so I'm just kind of scanning through some of them here. Oh, first of all, I did want to let you know that your friends at the University of Tennessee at Martin wanted to say hello.
Oh, okay.
So they're avid fans, clearly. I
I
think
know.
they're on every one of them.
I know.
Thanks, guys. So Steve had a question. So similar to the MBTI, if a client self-verifies a different two-letter code, is it possible to pull an accurate report with the different verified code? So how does verification kind of work for this?
Wow, Jim and Jack, have we gotten information on that yet? Can we?
I don't believe there is a verified, I guess we verified GOT on this report.
No, and no, there wouldn't be.
No.
There wouldn't be because it's based strictly on comparative norms. Unlike the MBTI, where you're not being compared, you're verifying your type. In this situation, if the person comes out social artistic, for instance, and they say, "Well, I'm really not social artistic. I think I identify more with enterprising." With social enterprising, the links are all built in so they can find out more information just through the hyperlinks about the themes and the specific interest that they're verifying. So the second report really wouldn't be necessary. It's all accessible. It's almost like getting reports for every theme and every basic interest scale for the price of one.
Okay. So Jim and Jack, this is more a question for you. So Judy mentioned, the generating an expanded report from the iStartStrong. Can you explain how that works?
Sure. If in the Skills One site, as the administrator, you want to generate one of the other Strong or the Strong family of products from the iStartStrong, when you select iStartStrong as the assessment in the Generate Reports process, all of the iStartStrong and all of the Strong family of products will be listed as an option in the Reports field. So anything you can generate from those results will be made available as an option. Of course, in order to generate that report, you will need to have one of those, or at least one of those, in your inventory already. So if you decide to generate a Strong College Profile Plus Interpretive report, and you don't have one in your inventory, you'll need to buy that first and then be able to generate that report.
Jim, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
It's Judy. Okay, I'm on the Skills One site,
Right.
and I'm taking the assessment.
Okay.
If I click, I'm going to be clicking on iStartStrong to take the assessment. I'm not clicking on Strong.
That is correct.
And if I click on iStartStrong, I get this report. And if the counselor has said, let me have it right away, I can have it right away. And if the counselor then says, let's get more information, a new report can be generated. Now, does it work in reverse? So I'm on the Skills One site, and I click on Strong, and I take it. Can the counselor go backwards and generate the iStartStrong report from that?
Yes. The
so
counselor can generate that one.
So the counselor can generate anything they want to?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
The report would need to be sent in order to provide the interactivity of the file, the PDF file. It would need to be sent to the student then rather than printed out, as you've already indicated. The student will not be able to log back in and view their results through the student assessment site. So the report would have to be generated by the counselor and sent to them.
Yeah. See, I think the implications for this are huge. If you're working with students, and I think this certainly applies to adults too, you're talking to them individually or in group, you can say, go to this site, take the Strong. And when you're finished, download your results. And when we get together in the next meeting, when you come back to see me, or when the class meets again, if you're doing it in a career guidance class or something, what I want you to have with you are 3 occupations that you found out information about. And we're going to talk about it when you come back together, when we get back together. I think what's really neat here is that sometimes we meet with students and we say, okay, you're going to go to the site and take a Strong, and we never see them again. They never come back. And I think we lose the opportunity to give those students information, and this way they're going to get that information if they want it without coming back. And that can be really important for students who want immediate information. They don't want to have to wait a week to come back and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. there's an opportunity here, I think, for more people to get more information without going through so many steps. I also had an opportunity last week where I was demonstrating this report to a couple of counselors here at the community college in my area, and one of them said right away, what a great report for a group session. In a live classroom, in a hot classroom, students are sitting at computer terminals, and you're the instructor, and you've got the report up on a PowerPoint, for instance, and you're walking them through their iStartStrong results, and you can actually click and click on the hyperlink on the PowerPoint and go right to the website, have the students follow you in doing that. I can, granted, my intuition is dominant on the MBTI, but I can think of all kinds of possibilities where this instrument can get people going and hook them. And then if you're going to go deeper or it's more complicated, you're adding other assessments, it's your option. But at least they have the basic information right away. I get really excited. I really think it's going to open some doors that we haven't even thought about yet. Come back next week.
So Vivian's kind of curious. So Vivian, I think, took training from you back in the late 90s, and she's kind of curious, if students or their clients can obtain, some results immediately, what would be the value in investing in certification then?
Well, as I said before, you don't really understand what's going on behind these immediate results unless you're trained. And so the more training you have in the Strong family of products, all of the reports, and how to integrate scales and how to deal with scales that are opposite each other and conflict with each other, the more training you have, the more help you can provide for your students and clients. If you don't have training, then you're just going to get results that say your highest interests are blank and blank, and nobody knows whether they fit together. It's really important to understand that, for instance, that if your themes on the Strong are adjacent on the hexagon, the Strong is going to be a much more valid predictor of career satisfaction than if your themes are opposite. And if you're not trained, you don't know how to deal with that stuff. So, I just can't imagine using any of these products without knowing what it's all about. And of course, I have a vested interest in certification. I do it. Vivian knows that.
Yeah. Might be a frightening endeavor, though.
But the certification?
To not be trained.
To not be trained. I think in any field you want training on the tools that you're using, and this is a tool.
Yeah. So Steve is interested, and I think this will probably be a question for Jack and Jim. So so can the iStartStrong report be generated for a client that has taken the Strong, say, 6 months ago?
Yes, very good question.
Good question.
I walked down the hallways this morning to the Skills One developer just to make sure I had the answer, and the answer is yes.
Yes.
If they have a Strong result in your Skills One site already, even prior to the release of the iStartStrong, you would do the Generate Reports process, selecting the Strong as the assessment, but now the iStartStrong will appear as an option in the Reports field whenever you're generating a Strong report. So yes, the answer is yes.
Excellent.
I like that answer.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a head scratcher. So Jeff Riley recently used some paper inventories for clients. So is there a way that those could be quote unquote retrofit for the iStartStrong?
Retrofit for iStartStrong.
The option that comes to mind right away is if he still has the answer sheets, he could go through the manually tedious job of entering the answers into the Skills One site under the Key in Results option. I don't know at this point, that's a good question, if an iStartStrong can be an upgrade from a prepaid answer sheet. So we will need to verify that and get that answer out to everybody.
I don't think that's going to happen too often.
Yeah.
It could. It could. God, remember those days when we keyed in all those answers? I got to where I could do it in 90 seconds, a full Strong.
Going back to the question about certification, Janine had an interesting observation. She thought that certification would be especially helpful in helping clients that are ST or NT types, if the trainer was certified. Any thoughts on that, Judy?
Reassurance, you mean?
Yeah, I'd like to hear more from her.
Okay.
I think what we're talking about with the strong, with any strong, is the ability of the client to integrate information and use it effectively. And that's what training does. That's where the professional steps in. Now, but what we're finding, and I think this is true of younger clients more than adults, but with college freshmen, for instance, and college sophomores, they come in and to the college scene, they want to answer some questions and they want to get answers back. And especially at the beginning of this whole career exploration thing, they just don't need as much information all the time as we've been trying to give them. And I just think that any MBTI type, she mentioned 2 of the hearts of type, any MBTI type is going to benefit from knowing how to make the most use out of these assessments. And I integrate scales very differently on the full strong if I'm dealing with an NT client than if I'm dealing with an ST client.
I have a sense.
But that's another workshop.
I have a sense that what Janine is getting at is those 2 types, or those 2 elements of the heart of type, will be the ones who might walk into an office and look for your credentials on the wall. Just because of who they are.
Oh yeah.
Point of reassurance.
That's a critical question for adult clients, because if adult clients are seeing career counselors and career coaches, they want to see credentials. And if you're using an instrument that you're not trained on, they're going to ask you, how much do you know about this thing? So, good point.
Excellent. So, Judy, forgive me if I can't recall if you went into detail on this. Did you talk about when to use iStartStrong versus when to use the Strong profile?
I did, and every time I say it, it gets more complicated. Let me say it very simply.
Okay.
If people have an entry-level career exploration question, which is essentially, what career fields are there, what majors are there that are related to what I like? This is the report. If the client or the student is struggling with the who am I questions, I don't know who I am, I don't know anything. That's the student who comes into your office and you say to them, what do you like? And they say, I don't know. Well, what are you good at? I don't know. Well, share some experiences you've had that have been fun. I haven't. So that's the student that you know needs more. Mm-hmm. And so the more complex the presenting issue, the more complex the information you need to sort the issue out.
Excellent.
And this is basic career exploration stuff that we're looking at here. It's simple.
That's great. I think that was a very elegant answer.
Elegant. It's really hard to simplify. I'm
so
sorry.
Bruce was kind of curious. How would you suggest this tool be used with the MBTI in career counseling?
I think the same way that I would integrate it with the Full Strong is you're going to look first at integrating the heart of type and the themes. And so on the MBTI, for instance, when you verify an NF type, you're going to, intuitive plus feeling, you're going to expect on the strong to see artistic or social or both. And so it's the same thing. They validate each other. And then if you're using the career report on the MBTI and you have the occupations listed based on interests on this report, you're going to look for overlap. And anytime you have 2 instruments that ask 2 different kinds of questions and generate overlapping results, you increase the validity. And increasing validity is what we want, because that predicts career fields and majors where someone's going to find satisfaction.
Excellent. So Jack and Jim, I've got a question for you from Janet. Janet is curious if she has existing strong inventory in her account, can those be traded in for iStartStrong inventory?
We will work with you to accommodate that request. Yes, we will look at how long ago you purchased the Strongs. That will impact your original purchase price and so on and so forth. But yes, yeah, we will work with you to make that exchange.
I think people are going to want to try out this. Regular Strong users that have been using it for a long time, and they're used to all of that data, and they're used to looking at bars that indicate amounts and all of that. They're going to want to use this, and I think each one of us as a practitioner is going to find out that there are really times where this one clicks with us, and then there are times when it just doesn't, and we use the other one.
Excellent. So there's a couple of questions from folks in Canada. So Susan is interested if iStartStrong is available through Psychometrics Canada for Canadians. Jim and Jack, can you answer?
Actually, I talked with Psychometrics this morning. It is not available in Canada. They use a completely different scoring system from Skills One, and the A-level reports, MBTI Complete and iStartStrong, are not on their scoring site.
Okay.
It's a possibility for the future, but it hasn't happened yet. I think for Canadians who are interested in that, putting in a call to Gatan to talk about that would be worthwhile. Because the more people that want it, of course, the more likely it is that they'll do it.
Excellent. Excellent. So, well, I think we've come to about the end of the webinar. We're right about at the top of the hour. So
Okay.
I'd like to thank everyone for taking time out of your busy day to attend and for asking so many excellent questions.
Such good questions.
We really did a full half hour of questions, I think. So, and I would also like to thank Judy for sharing her knowledge and expertise with us today. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
And then just let me just tell you about our next webinar, which is going to be from the ongoing Ask an Expert series. It'll feature Judy as our expert, as usual, and it's scheduled for April 19th, and we'll cover the topic of strong and MBTI career counseling strategies for adult clients. This is an advanced topic. So to register for that, you can visit our website at www.cpp.com/askanexpert. So I hope you'll join us again, and I want to thank everyone for attending today. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Leah.